Hello again, and thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. This week, I'm going to complain about the government. They're playing us like fools. They're lying to us when it comes to housing, and I'm going to explain why. Now, people talk about, well, it's not a federal responsibility, and they've even said that. Well, they've said it's not a primary federal responsibility, but it's all three levels of government when it comes to housing. And let me explain kind of where they each fall. Just briefly, this is not in depth, but the federal government, they're like the big picture. When it comes to monetary policy, fiscal policy, they set the stage for everything economic in Canada, right? So they are the top dog. If things aren't right with them, it's not going to be right all the way down the chain. So they need to set lending policies. They control CMHC, the Canada Housing and Mortgage Corporation. How can you say it's not a federal responsibility? Then you get to the provincial level, right? The provincial level has a huge role also. They oversee planning and development, land use, green belt usage or non-usage, transit, labor, etc. And then you get down to the municipal level, and I hear a lot of times it's the municipalities that actually control the building. Well, it's not. They implement the framework that they're given by the province, and they work with what they have to. Lately, the federal government has been dealing directly with the municipalities and bypassing the federal government with their Housing Accelerator Fund to try to get more density and whatnot done. Meanwhile, density is supposed to be a provincial thing, but regardless, that's another issue. Ultimately, the municipalities decide when and where to issue the permits. They're the boots on the ground people. Now, back to the federal government. Now, I don't want to get into party politics here and calling out this person, that person. I'm going to try to keep it nonpartisan or neutral. But of course, there will be some names popping up inevitably. But anyway, let's go through this. First off, I want to talk about the government's latest plan to unlock federal lands, right? To build homes, whatever kind of homes. It seems like social housing because will I be able to buy one of these homes? Will you be able to buy one of these homes? I doubt it. It seems like they're going to be controlled by the government. They're leasing the lands as opposed to selling them. But somebody replied to one of my posts on X with this infographic here, and it kind of says or shows the same tune. They've been saying this since 2015, unlocking federal lands. So let's check it out here. 2015. Back then, they said they're going to inventory all available federal lands and buildings to see what could be repurposed and make it available at low cost for affordable housing in communities where there is a pressing need. Now, I did verify all these, so I'm going to go through the verification real quick. Here it is, the article from September 9th, 2015. Trudeau promises affordable housing for Canadians. 2015, folks. Of course, they're promising the same thing these days. They've been talking about this the whole time. Nothing has happened. So this is my issue. It's easy to promise things, but let's look at the track record. The track record says the complete opposite of what they're promising, and it's not a new thing. You're led to believe this is like a new thing. Like we're gonna make homes affordable. This is our plan. They've had this plan for the last 9, 10 years since 2015. And here it is, that same thing highlighted in their promises from 2015. And you can look above and below that. And it's very similar promises to today. Finance the construction of new affordable rental housing for middle and low income Canadians. Well, I'd like to say that those middle income Canadians right now have a few words for you, and I'm sure they're not kind words because there's not any affordable housing, especially for the middle and of course, not for the low income Canadians. The next point from that infographic was 2017, from the budget to 2017, making more federal lands available for affordable housing. And here's a link to where that quote came from. This is Budget 2017, building a strong middle class. Well, it seems like the middle class is the target here. Chapter 2, Communities Built for Change. And there it is highlighted, making more federal lands available for the development of affordable housing. Next one down the list here, this was just from 2023. From the budget, feds promise to build more homes on public land as fall mini budget looms. And here's the actual article. Feds promise to build more homes on public lands as fall mini budget looms. All of the links to these articles are in the description of this video also, so please go check them out to verify for yourself. And lastly, the most recent announcement that you just heard this week. It's like a new lease on life here. It actually is a lease on life, funny to say. Federal lands listed for housing as liberals begin laser focused cabinet retreat. Maybe they weren't laser focused in all the rest of those articles, but now they're laser focused. And here they are, federal lands listed for housing as liberals begin laser focused cabinet retreat. Now, they did come out with some quick details on this. Again, this is an old proposal, mind you, so it's not a new proposal. And they are promising to start with unlocking 56 lands, federal lands, to build these homes on. And they're going to lease them to developers so developers can buy them up and make a bunch of profit. I don't know how that's going to work, but we don't know the details. But here is a map. They even have a mapping tool here. Again, link is in the description for this, and you can see all the green are open for feedback. So we're at the feedback for 51 of the 56 properties are open for feedback, and 5 of them are open for requests for proposals. And here they are. So let's go through these real quick, the RFP notices here. So this program is being administered by CMHC with their rainbow roof here. And the first one is out in Calgary. Development opportunity for 99 plus units in Currie, Calgary. And that's on a 0.4 hectare parcel there. So 100 units or so out in Calgary. Moving on to number 2, development opportunity for 45 plus 3-bedroom units in Village at Griesbach. I don't know how to say that properly. That's in North Edmonton. So under 150 units still at this point. And next, we're moving on to the former National Film Board building offered through the Federal Lands Initiative. And this is in Montreal, and they are calling for 110 residential units. So we're up to about 250 or so right now, 250 units. Next, in Toronto, 1,400 units in Toronto, and that must be a big property there. I can't remember where it is, but it's a significant natural woodlot. So taking some green space out there and putting some homes in. I guess you got to do what you got to do. I don't know what the environmentalists are going to have to say about that, but we'll see what happens there. So 1,400 units, we're at 1,650. We're up to now on this first 5 properties, or that was 4. This is number 5, and 495 plus properties in Water Ridge, Ottawa. I guess that's for all those new public sector employees, or the government's growing, so you need a lot of places in Ottawa actually these days. And this one's on a 1.7 hectare site within 131 hectare Water Ridge community in Ottawa. So far we have 2,150 units proposed or looking for RFPs on these government land sites. They still have 51 more sites to go. They're still looking for feedback. Who knows how long this is going to take? I don't even know if these proposals are going to work out. The developers, I guess they probably will. But again, all of these homes are probably going to be social housing of some kind. It's not going to be a place where you can just go middle class and buy, as they like to preach in their previous years, making life more affordable for the middle class. I just don't see these programs, along with all the other programs with the Housing Accelerator Fund, geared towards the average Canadian family. They're geared towards more social housing, which we probably obviously do need. But again, where is the help for the middle class, or the opportunity even for the middle class? Now, I want to take a quick look at this chart here. This is the total housing completions by year in Canada, all property types, all areas. And you can see it goes up and down. It's actually correlated to recessions, which I'm going to get to in a second. But the latest data we have for completions is only up to the end of 2022. So not a lot or nothing for completions. Only starts data has been given after that into 2023 and this year. Now here I'm going to add in the recessions. And of course, I put the arrows there. So look at all of these recessions going back to the late 50s or so. And you can see the arrows there are pointing at those low spots. Every time there's a recession, the housing completions drop significantly. The most recent one there on the right in 2008 or so, of course, they drop right down. So right now, it looks like we've been at a high spot. If I was to add in 2023 and 2024, they would be similar levels to what they were right now at that peak there. But of course, where do you think housing starts or housing completions are going to go once there's a recession in Canada? And we have calls for a recession right now. So when recessions come, housing completions go down. So we're not going to see a big uptick. All the government's doing is subsidizing the drop in housing starts right now. You're not going to see significant building, record building. You're seeing record immigration, but the building, it's not going to happen. Maybe in 5 to 10 years from now. But at this point, they're just supplementing the decrease or making up for the decrease in the housing starts and completions. And remember, these starts and these initiatives that they're doing with this land use, it takes years to implement these. So this is only going to prop up or help the numbers from being catastrophic for the next 3 to 5 years. And after that, we'll see what happens. But again, it's not going to make any significant impact on increased housing completions. And lastly, a visualization of where we were and where we are when it comes to housing and starting off life in Canada. Here's the first one. This was what it used to be like. So you would start off with some money, a job, and lots of opportunities to buy a house. Here on the Monopoly board, you have these properties. You could buy the property, build a house, no big deal. Sometimes there were some setbacks with the community chest and the chance and whatnot, but it was pretty simple and pretty straightforward. Now we move on to today. This is how life starts now. You have more money. Yes, you have more money because you need more money because of inflation. Your money has been devalued. And there near your characters, you have debt. So you start off now with debt, credit card debt, car debt, student loans, a mix of them all of them combined, who knows? And of course, I put some extra things in there. You have to maybe pay a dental fee or a doctor fee or pay some other bill. Now, if you've played Monopoly or if you're familiar with Monopoly, these buildings are places you can rent. They are not for sale. So there's a couple of properties down there just past Go where you can buy, but the rest of them are already bought up by investors and speculators, and now you have to rent them at extraordinary prices. There's hotels on some of these, so they have high rental prices on these properties. So you're starting with more money, more debt, less opportunities, high rent prices, and only a little bit of property to choose from if you do want to buy it. And of course, we all know that if you do get into property, it's very expensive these days. Anyway, that's it for this week. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time.